I had just graduated from the University of Montana and left my job at NBC Montana when I flew to Seattle to begin documenting how people move through sports spaces. As we started descending into Seattle, you could see the stadiums appear below the plane. The airport felt farther away than I expected. Taking an Uber or Lyft to downtown was going to be around $70, so instead I took the light rail for $3.
1 line to Linwood City Center Station, now arriving. Please tread on the railroad and allow other passengers
I got to Seattle earlier than I expected, so I walked from my hostel to the stadium. It was only about a mile, though the hills felt much steeper on the way back. The last time I was here was in 2018, when it was still called Safeco Field. Since it was raining, I was hoping to experience the game with the roof closed. Walking around the stadium, I found myself stopping at small scenes like this, and trying to figure out how to photograph them. I had wanted to take the stadium tour in the morning, but I was having trouble paying for it online, so by the time I figured everything out, the only available time was at noon. The line looked long, but once the gates opened, everyone moved in pretty quickly. As the game went on, the crowd got louder and eventually started to wave. During the game, I kept finding myself watching the concourse as much as the field. People moved between food stands, bars, and viewing areas throughout the night. While most people focused on the game, crews were already working outside, preparing for the crowd to leave. The Mariners had one last chance with 2 runners on in the bottom of the ninth. Within minutes, the streets around the ballpark filled with people heading home, back to the hotels, or toward the train station. The next morning, I walked to Pike Place Market. Somehow I'd never been there before, despite visiting Seattle several times. I didn't realize the original Starbucks was located within the Pike Place Market until I saw the line wrapping around outside. Later that afternoon, I headed towards Lumen Field. As game time approached, groups of people arrived to the train and headed towards the stadium, and the area quickly transformed. Before kickoff, Galaxy supporters marched towards the stadium with drums and chants echoing through the streets.
the day, we'll get a preview of the U.S. men's national team group stage matches, courtesy of Brad.
Before kickoff, the Sounders crowd went through one of its pregame traditions.
Midfielder, number 13, Jordan.
The Sounders supporters were waving the flags, and in the 23rd minute, Galaxy got their first goal of the game. I saw that the upper level seats were tarped off, so I was curious if I can get to them, but it was closed. Security escorted a couple people out. Galaxy scored again, sealing their victory, and Sounders fans started making their way out of the stadium.
Fans have seen the next match for the final score headed out to 2 and Dawson,
Seattle was the first stop of the trip. The Mariners lost, the Sounders lost. But over those 2 days, I started noticing the games weren't the only story. The people, the movement, and the spaces around them were becoming just as interesting. Next stop, Southern California.